Hello, my name is Maria and I'm the Creative Italian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so glad that you found my channel. If you like crocheting and soldering, this is the place to be. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to create this really cool looking heart that is soldered using a texture technique, and also I use a black patina on it just to give it a little bit of a different finish. But before we get started, if you like any of my videos, you guys, if you give it the thumbs up, it'll really help me grow my channel. Also, if you want to be notified when I have a new video uploaded, as well as a shorts video, all you gotta do is hit the subscribe button down below and you'll know right away when I have new tutorials uploaded on my channel. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and I want to share with you exactly everything that I'm using for my project here, the tools and the equipment. The first thing I want to point out is I use the Weller soldering iron. I just love Weller. And also, this fan right here can be ordered from a company. I forgot the name of the company offhand, but they sell soldering equipment, and what it does is it pulls the fumes away from me as I am soldering when I'm working with flux. It is a great piece of equipment to have. It's not that expensive, and it's just worth having, as part of your soldering. I highly recommend it. A hammer, a ruler, as you can see here, excuse me, bent nose pliers, wire cutters, nylon pliers, chain nose pliers, an emery board. I am using this white highlighter to create this round shape because I like the size of it. You can use whatever you want to use, but that's what I'm using for this heart. A brass ball by Weller to keep my tip nice and clean. A few 10mm jump rings. I'm using lead-free solder from Hobby Lobby. I love their products. Bead Smith 18 gauge wire. Now you can use 16 gauge if you want to. But that's what I used on this project, was the 18 gauge, and it's very sturdy. I'm using the liquid flux by Hobby Lobby. I love Hobby Lobby, can you tell? The Novacan black patina to create this black and silver look on the pendant here. And also a pair of gloves, because that patina is pretty toxic, so we don't want it on our skin. A brush with a plastic handle. I use this brush only for patina. And you want like a rag or a towel. This is for the patina part. And then also some paper towel. And also gloves when you're doing the patina. That's real important. I didn't do that one time and somebody brought it to my attention. I just, didn't think about it, but now I do it. A bench block. And these these wire, listen to me. These rubber stamps are by two different companies. I bought them both on Amazon. This one is the one I use for this project, which I absolutely love, from the Red Rubber Stamp Company. They're excellent. These I also got on Amazon. They are excellent. They're 12 to a pack. They're $9.99. You buy them on Amazon, and I love them because there's 12 that come to the pack, and they have all different designs and textures. They really create really unique texture, and I just absolutely love them. I ordered some that were 4 in a pack, and they were not meant for soldering, okay? They were like $5, 4 in a pack, and they melt. This part melts, and not only does it melt, it melts into the solder. So those stamps were probably for like paper or something like that, but they're definitely not for solder. I will leave the link down below where you can get these rubber stamps on Amazon, so that you'll be ordering some that you can use for soldering. For this project that I'm doing for the heart, like I said, I use this, but just so you can see a different look, I'm going to use one of these. And that way you can get an idea, about how they work. It is a different look. Not dramatic, but just really cool, you know. I mean, all of them are special and different, and they create different looks. So I think that covers it, you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for this pendant is actually measures 1.5 inches across, horizontal and vertically, in both directions. I'm going to cut 8 inches of 18 gauge wire to create this size heart pendant. And what I've done here is I'm using my nylon pliers to straighten out the wire. Boy, these come in handy when you're taking off wire off a roll and you got your heavier gauge. The lighter gauge, I could just do that with my hands. So let's see, I'm going to 8 inches. And maybe just a little bit more. It's not going to hurt. I'd always rather have more than what I really need. It's just better that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the ends and bring them up so they meet up at the top. And that kind of gives me an idea about where the center is. Or I can actually just measure it too and mark it if I want to with a marker, which I don't have in front of me. But anyway, so here's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to kind of just get it started just a little bit there. Now, I did forget to mention that I am using the 6-step jump ring pliers by Beadsmith, and I forgot to mention that. I'm going to be using not the largest one. They don't have the size of the millimeter on here, but I'm going to be using the second largest one to create a loop on my wire here, like so. Whoop, hang on, sliding off there. Okay, all right, just like that. All right, now to create the shape, this nice curve on my heart, I like to bring the wires up just a little bit, like so. I found that it's easier to create the loop when the wire is up as opposed to straight out. I've done it straight out, and yeah, it doesn't work out too good. Now I'm going to be using my highlighter cap because it's the size that I want to create my shape for the top of the heart. And what I do is I just make sure my loop is going to be on the top, like there, right? So all I do is wrap this around, holding it with my thumb, and wrap it around like so. And then what I do is, after I've done that, I just bring it out, you know, like it looks like that, right, when I'm finished doing it. But well, we don't want that, right? So I'm just going to bring it out just a little bit and just shape it like what I have here, so it has a little bit of a round shape to it and then comes down. So it has a curve to it, I should say, like so. Yeah. So that I just work out, you know, with my hands. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You can use whatever you want to create your round, your half circle or curve up at the top of the heart. I just happen to like this size. And for this size pendant anyway, that is what I like. So I've worked with, you can just pretty much use, you know, whatever you want to use. And like I say, after I get done, I have to do a little bit of finagling. You know, I had to kind of bring things around a little bit, shape it around a little bit, which is no big deal. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because, you know, the heart is going to have a lot of texture to it. And I just bring it down just a little bit. Just bring it around and bring that up. So it's kind of a visual thing too, as you know, when you're making jewelry. Those of you that make jewelry, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And when it comes to solder, it's that way too, especially textured solder. Okay, so let's see what I got here. Okay. Yeah, I could go up just a little bit on that. Actually, I kind of like that. It's a little bit different, and they're always going to look a little bit different too. You know, each one that you do is going to be a little bit different. The heart's going to be different. Size is going to be different. Okay, so that's what I've done so far. Okay, so now the next step is to take one of these ends and I'm going to bend it with my chain nose pliers so it goes in a horizontal position, like so, just like that. And then grab it at the neck right there, and this piece right here, bend that straight down. So that's what it looks like, okay? Just like that. And then take my bent nose pliers and just wrap, whoops, I didn't grab it too good right there. Yeah, you want to make sure that it's grabbed, that the pliers are right over the intersection of those wires, otherwise it comes apart just like you saw. And I got to grip it kind of tight too. And so what I'm going to do is I'm only going to wrap this around one time. Whoop. Just like so. I don't need it. I don't need to be any more than that because the solder is going to cover all the rest of that. And sometimes when I'm doing that, this thing will get, like the curves will get a little bit out of whack a little bit, but that's no big deal. It's easy to adjust that. And cut that off, and then cut that off. And I like to squeeze that down, that little point right there. I like to go ahead and squeeze it down, you know, just to be on the safe side. Because that way I won't scratch myself while I'm soldering here. Okay, now, the next step is I'm going to use my hammer to texturize this and flatten it out because it's easier and works better to get the first layer of solder on this. When I flatten it out and texturize it, the flux will also work better on the wire. So here I'm using my liquid flux and I go on both sides of the heart, like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a very thin layer of solder all the way around the heart first before I actually do the design. Now these pliers are strictly for soldering, so I can, you know, get them to hold the piece instead of my fingers, so I don't burn my fingers. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go all around the heart until I have a thin layer of solder, and I make sure that all the wire is covered. And the reason I'm doing that before I add the larger droplets of solder is because it's going to just work out so much better as far as working the way I want it to work. So you're just go all the way around. Get a nice layer on there. And if some areas are a little thicker, like down here at the bottom, it doesn't make any difference. It's just putting that first layer on so that when I apply my bigger drops of solder, everything will stick and flow. And as I'm going along, I'm always adding more flux as well. You know, because it dries out and all that. So I'm always going to have to add flux as I'm working on this project. And these pliers that I'm using, I use only when I do soldering. You can see that's what they are. Okay, so now I got a thin coat of solder on all around. So let's get started on the next step. As you can see, I got my coating of solder all the way around the heart. And now I'm going to add more flux to the heart before I add more solder, because I'm always going to be adding flux as I go along, because the flux dries out, it evaporates, and if the solder is not flowing, it's because it needs more flux. Okay, and this is the rubber stamp I'm going to be using. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add big drops of solder all the way around my heart here, and just let it drop on there until I get, you know, the amount that I want. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to go all the way around here. Just let it drop on there. Now I have found, you see the rubber stamp is on a little wooden like spool. Some people take the rubber stamp off the spool, and some people use the rubber stamp on the spool. I've done it both ways. For this particular size that I'm using right here, I found I can get more pressure and more leverage and more texture by using it on the spool, because I can press down harder. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but you just have to do it. And on the spool works better for me. I want to get as much indentation as possible into the solder once I've melted it and I'm using my rubber stamp. And I have found that I've peeled it off and done it, and I've done it with it on the spool, and it works out way better for me. Whoops. It works out way better for me to do it with it on the spool. Okay, come on guys. Let's get this going here. Oh. Now if it goes to the side, that's okay. You can pick it up and drop it right back on there. There we go. And all I'm doing is just holding the solder, you know, to the side of the tip, as you can see, and then just letting it drop on there. And my tip needs cleaning here. Clean it into the brass sponge here. Okay. So I think I've got on there what I want. Might need a little bit right here, a little bit more. What I like about this is it absolutely is so organic, you guys. I mean, you can't go wrong, you know? I mean, you really can't. Here, where it's on the side, where it's kind of dripped to the inside of the heart, all I'm going to do is put a little solder, a little bit of flux right there, and then take my iron, soldering iron and just melt that so I can kind of bring it up onto the wire, because that's where I want it to sit. And then I can just bring it down. Are you all gonna cooperate? Sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate. Yep. There we go. It takes a little bit of finagling, that's all. And now I'm just gonna add a little bit more right there. So the more solder you add, the wider the frame will be on the piece. And this piece, I can tell you right now, it's going to be wider. The frame is going to be wider and have even more texture around it than this one that I did. Okay, it's not going to be quite as narrow. It's going to be wider. As a matter of fact, it's going to end up looking more like this one right here, which I just think is so cool. Okay, so on to the next step. But before I do, I am going to go around and flux all of this again. So I'll be sure that it will melt really good when I get ready to use my little stamp. So while I'm doing this, the melting of the solder, I have my stamp really close by. So as soon as it's nice and soldered, as soon as it's nice and hot, I can get in there, you know, like right away. I found that to be super important when working with a project like this. Now see, the other thing I like about having the wood on here still is I can turn it in and out and really get a lot of pressure. Now see, I want a little bit more texture right there, so I'm going to really press that in. And also, the other thing too is if I'm not liking something in a certain area and I need to add more solder, I'll do that. Okay, let's see. I love how this works. Yeah. See, I just get in there, and as you can see, and I can press down really hard, which I need to, because I've got some leverage here. There you go. I just go on around. And I'll just keep going at it until I, get it the way I want it. I mean, what I love about it is that, all around the heart, it takes on just a different look and texture. I just absolutely love it. Now here where you would normally add a jump ring or whatever, I just want just a little bit of texture on there. Now you see, I don't want a whole lot because I need to be able to add a jump ring. But as you can see right here, there's not quite enough solder. So I'm just going to go in here and just add a little bit more. Just like that. And let's see, where am I? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm in the camera, you guys. Sometimes I get out of the camera. Okay, so here I'm going to go in here and just melt that really good and just press down really hard. Oop, it got away from me. Yeah, so as you can see, I've got a little bit more texture there. Let's turn this around here and get that melted really good. Now see how great that texture looks right in that spot? See, I just love that. Now in here, I want it to have a little bit wider texture. So I'm going to add a little bit more thickness, and I found that the thicker, the more solder I have on my piece, the thicker the area will be, or the wider I can get it, depending on how much pressure and how I rock the stamp, like back and forth like that. See how I can get it kind of wide right in that area? See, I like that. Like that. Just like that. And here, I'm just going to remelt that a little bit more. I want it to be, well, I still don't like it. Oh well, I like that. That's perfect, okay? All right, so also you guys, what I didn't tell you is that sometimes I will use the bentonite torch as well, but I'll use it low, really, really low, and I'll use that to hold it, you know, you have to be you have to be extra, extra careful, of course, you know, that you don't keep these too close together, but this can get it hot even faster, and I just go in there and use the rubber stamp and get really some great texture. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this with some water and Dawn detergent and rinse it out and dry it, because I've got to get the flux off before I do the black patina, and you're just going to love this. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, now before I go any further, I want to make sure there's not any sharp places on my piece here, and I can feel one right there, so I'm going to take an emery board, and I just use a plain emery board for natural nails. That one seems to work the best, I have found. It just brings those points down. Like there's one right there. I know y'all can see it, right? Right there. It brings it down the best. These emery boards right here. Takes that sharp edge off. Now, the other thing I forgot to tell you guys. In the beginning of the video, I said I was using lead-free solder, right? And then I got halfway done and I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. The black patina by Novocan, it only works on lead solder, you guys. It does not work on lead-free solder. They make one that has a patina copper look to it, and you can use that on either lead or lead-free. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so I did that. I just need to dust it off. It's better to do it, really, this smoothing out. It's probably better to do it before you do the Dawn. I don't really think it's going to make that much difference, to be honest with you. But you just want to be sure you do it. Okay, now I am going to use the black patina right here. Let me move my camera here just a little bit. Here it is by Novocan. You can order it on Amazon. And I like to pour mine in a cap, in the cap, and work from the cap. That's just my preference. And also put on gloves, because it is somewhat toxic, and someone brought that to my attention in a video that I did several years ago. I didn't wear gloves, and I'm glad that she said something, because nowadays I do wear gloves all the time. Okay, as far as doing something like this, so I'm going to do the back side first, like so. And once I get done, I'm going to let this sit for about 15 or 20 minutes. And as you can see, it looks really dark and really black as I'm doing this. And of course, you could certainly keep it that way if you wanted to, right? But you'd still want to wipe this off after a certain amount of time. You got a cloth that you use, that I use, you know, to do that. But I'm going to show you how I get that multi-color look on this piece after this sits for a while. So anyway, let just that dry. I mean, not dry, but it kind of dries, but Just let it sit. 15 to 20 minutes I found seems to work the best. And there you go. And okay, so I will be back. I'm gonna let this sit and I'll be back to show you how I create this look. Okay, so as you can see, it's been 20 minutes and it's taken really good. And so now what I'm going to do, after I adjust my camera, I'm gonna take extra fine steel wool. Let me adjust my camera again, you guys. Extra fine steel wool. And I'm just gonna go over it. And basically, I just keep going over it until I get it the way I want it to look. It's as simple as that. That's all I'm gonna do. And I do the front and the back. And you can take off or leave as much as you want. That's what I love about the patinas, is you can create this multi-color just by removing the patina. And see, as you can see, it looks a lot like this one, but it's just got wider texture to it. And if I want to go into the grooves, I could just get in there and just press down. You know, like when it's deep right there, and say I want to take some of that off, I could just go in there and kind of move it around a little bit and get in there and take it off. And then this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. And one thing I wanted to say, if you ever have any wire showing on the back side after you solder it, yeah, I wouldn't even worry about that. It's not a big deal because it's the back side, you guys. Now, I like to use a glaze on this just because I just think it's a good idea, you know, to put a clear glaze. And I'm going to show you what I use. I mean, really, you could probably use clear nail polish, although I've never done that. But I don't know why you couldn't, you know, just to give it a little bit extra protection. Let me just remove that. And let me find what I use for the glaze here. I had it just, oh, here it is. Okay, this is what I use for a gloss. And what I do is, before I do this, this is not something that you have to do, but I don't know, when I do a patina, or I just like to do it because I think it just protects the finish better. I take a cloth and just wipe off any residual of the steel wool and get rid of that really good. Just take that off just like that. Okay. So here's my gloss. It's a metal sealer, and I just stick it on my workspace right here. And this is just tile, by the way, that I got from Home Depot. And I use these inexpensive throwaway brushes that I get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And I just take it and just go all the way around and let it dry. It dries really fast, by the way. Yeah, like that. And then after it's dry, of course, I'll do the opposite side, right there. But I'm gonna pick this up so I don't make a mess here. So I'm just gonna let that dry and then, you know, get back to it and put a coating on the opposite side. So anyway, that's nice and dry now. And I'm back to show you how that looks. Okay, and then I'm gonna add this jump ring to this. And what I like to do is use a bent nose plier and a flat nose plier. And I open it very slightly, going the opposite direction of each other, like that. I don't open it real big. If I do that, it'll ruin the shape of the jump ring, and then I have to use another jump ring. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is just slide that on there and until I hear it click. And then I know, you know, that I've got a nice connection there and that it's not going to come off. So anyway, you guys, there you go. I just had so much fun showing you guys how to do this. I hope that you'll give it a try. I really do. Okay, so I had a lot of fun showing you guys how to make this soldered heart here with all this texture and really cool patina. I hope that you'll give it a try. And if you like this video, if you'll give me a thumbs up on this or any of my videos, it'll really help me grow my channel. And also, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video tutorial or a new shorts, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button below and you will be notified as soon as I pop one up on my channel. And also, if any of you need any help with your soldering projects or any of the videos that you watch on here, if you have any questions about any of these projects, feel free, you know, to leave all that in the comments. I'm really good about responding in 24 hours or less, okay? So anyway, I'm so glad that you found my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video and some of the other videos I have on here. And I'll be back. I'll be back soon with some other projects. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.